brushes because we are going to dissect brushes back and forth today. If you were previously clueless about brushes, or perhaps you are venturing into the makeup world as a newbie, then I got you. Just stay tuned because I'm going to tell you what brushes fly, what brushes to use in what occasions, stuff like that. And I'll try to make it as brief as possible and as insightful as possible. So one thing you have to note about brushes is that brushes are not rigid. Some of them are made for specific purposes here, but some of them can multitask. So when you see brushes in packs, sometimes you get confused that, okay, what is this one for? Is it for my primer? Is it for my powder? Is it for my foundation? Let me tell you the hacks to knowing some of these things. There are some general rules that guide brushes that you just need to put in mind, but don't be too rigid with these rules. Some brush makers, they are so nice that they will give you numbers to your brushes, and they will even tell you what brush to use for what. Like they put the brush function on the pack. An example of such companies is Technique Pro. I just got these brushes. As you can see, the nylon that's still there here. I got this brush set. It's actually a travel set. Good thing about this brush set is that the manufacturers are so nice. As you can see, they put functions of the brushes there, the numbers and the function. Do you understand? So they will put the diagram of the brush. There's 1, 2, 3, if you can see it clearly, and they'll tell you what brush to use for what. These ones just make your life easy, really, because it stops the guesswork. But regardless, I'll take you through some of the rules for brushes so that you don't get confused. As a beginner, I feel and I'm positive that the brush set that you need is not the highfalutin one. You just need the basic things. First of all, you need a brush for your shadow, your eyeshadow. At least you need a few brushes for your eyeshadow, maybe one or two, because you're just beginning, right? Maybe one brush to apply your primer, but really you could go with your hands for that one if your hands are clean. Then you need a brush for your foundation, you need a brush for powder, a brush for blush, and then maybe another one for contouring. Then you need the small brushes too for contouring. But you're a beginner and you might not want to go into or delve into the highlighting and contouring world yet. So let's just go into the simple brushes for now. So there is like a framework to these brushes. Like I said, never be too rigid with them. But when you see certain shapes of brushes, you know that, okay, this is most likely what this brush was made for. This picture here has been a lifesaver. This picture is available on my website, by the way, tsjmakeovers.com. So you can just go to my website page and check the picture out and the post in general after watching this video. Let us start with foundation brushes. The thing about foundation brushes is that there are many types. There are diverse types of foundation brushes. Shadow brushes, eyeshadow brushes. Let us start with eyeshadow brushes. So the thing about eyeshadow brushes is that there are diverse types of eyeshadow brushes depending on your eye size, the size of your lid. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like this thing where you close your eyes and open it, for some people it's really small. For some other people, it's very wide and to give you a lot of space to play around and do whatever you like. But you have to be very conscious of what eyelid size you are working with when using a shadow brush. So for shadow brushes, basically, we have the blending shadow brushes. We have the ones for application. Do you get? So we have the blending, the one for application. The application one is the one that varies with size. Something like this will fly for someone with very small lid, This is another type. So you can see these are both shadow application brushes. Do you get? They come in various sizes depending on your eyelid. For someone with a bigger eyelid that you can play with, you can use a brush as big as this to apply eyeshadow, like a shadow application brush. So there are different sizes. Let me just show you different sizes and shapes of shadow. In fact, we have some that are flat. So just take a look at some of these brushes. They will fly well for shadow application. We also have shadow blending brushes. And by blending, what do I mean? When you apply your shadow and you just apply it, after your eyeshadow primer, you just go straight to applying your shadow without a transition shade or color. It might look a bit tacky, yeah? So we have these shadow blending brushes for your transition colors and also to blend the shadows together depending on what look you are going for. So these shadow blending brushes also come in different sizes, but one thing is peculiar to them. They have loose bristles, in other words, so you know that you can easily just go in and blend, because it's, what is it called, a blend, shadow blending brush. But this is a small size. Even this is a small size. You can see them. Even this one too, you can use for shadow blending, and this one you can also use for pigments. Instead of using your hands to apply the pigments, you can also use these types of brushes. Now, there are some people with very big eyelids that can accommodate even bigger shadow blending brushes. Let me show you what those look like. These two can fly as a shadow blending brush, but this is like a bigger version. So you can see, just take a look at them. When you see brushes like this, brushes like this, you can use them to blend your eyeshadow. Do you get, after application? So that's all about eyeshadow. I don't think there's anything else as a beginner that you need for your eyeshadow. Your application brushes in different sizes depending on the size of the lid, and then your blending brushes to blend all those colors together. Now let's move on. Let's move on to foundation, which is a very essential part of makeup. So for foundations here, things are evolving. The world is changing. There was a time when I used to struggle with applying foundation. Then we had the beauty blenders. You know what beauty blenders are? Those egg-like foam things. Yes, those ones. They are really nice for applying foundation. As a beginner, you could key into them really. There are various foundation brushes, from the oval ones to the flat ones. There are different types really. So anytime you see a brush like this that is flat with this shape, it's usually flat and most times big. It could be small as well. Flat brushes like this were meant to sort out your foundation needs. Just take it from me. Then we also have the ones with round. See, anything with a round, densely packed brush bristle can fly for your foundation. Because you know, even your beauty blender, when you like, dab it in, when you dab your foundation in, it absorbs product. So you need something dense. That's why the brushes as well, the foundation brushes, are usually densely packed. So you see, this is a foundation brush. This can also fly as a foundation brush. So you see, they come in different sizes and shapes. Flat, and then these round ones, densely packed. They work great for you, for your foundation here. You wonder the difference between foundation brushes and powder brushes here. Foundation brushes are usually more densely packed. I mean, the brush bristles are usually more densely packed. Just like I showed you before. Take a look at them again. They are more densely packed. But there are some group of brushes now, for example, from like the Real Technique, Real brushes, and then the dupes. They have sort of densely packed bristles, but they are still a bit loose. They call them face expert brushes. They can fly to blend in whatever it is. I use this sometimes for foundation and for powder. So these particular types of brushes, this is a Real Technique. This is a Real Technique brush, can fly for both your foundation and powder. That was why I was saying at the beginning that don't be too rigid with brushes, because some of them were made to multitask. I would say these Real Technique brushes are one of those brushes that could multitask. But ideally, powder brushes are usually more loose. Can you see how loose these bristles are? So that when you are, it's powder now, so that when you are applying it, some of them might fall off, yeah? Do you get? So yes, that's once you see big, the powder brushes are usually the biggest in the pack. Once you see a big brush like this, know that this is for powder. Once you see flat brushes like this, know that it's for foundation. Or you could have the round kabuki brushes as well, like this one is also still for foundation. And then you can also use your beauty blender to blend both your foundation and powder. I use beauty blenders to blend my powders sometimes. So yes, don't be too rigid with brushes as a newbie. Now let's go to some of the more technical brushes. Let me introduce you to some technical brushes. So there are some brushes that can be used to highlight. You see this particular brush, it's like a blend between a foundation brush, but you can see it's very small. You can't compare it to, say, this big foundation brush. Take a look at them. They look similar, yeah? These brushes look similar, but they are not quite similar. This is smaller and this is bigger. So this one that like gives a blend between the foundation brush but not quite can be used for your under eye. That's why I said these are the more technical brushes. When you want to highlight, okay, you grasp the concept of highlighting, this brush will fly well. So you just use it for your under eye. You see the shape is even looking like a shape you can comfortably use in your under eye to highlight. So when you see brushes like this, honestly, not all brush sets will come with the complicated brushes, but just know that brushes like this can highlight comfortably. Likewise, there are smaller ones. You can see that they look quite similar, but this is smaller than this one. So this also can highlight your under eye when you're not looking to have so much product there. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So yes, these two brushes, they actually, you can see the shapes of these brushes. They fly very well for highlighting. Now for the contouring aspect, any brush you see that goes slanting like this, is usually great for contouring. There is a smaller version. You can see it comes this way, slanting. You can use this to contour your nose. You can see it's shaped very specifically so that it will give you ease for contouring your nose. It might not work for this big contour by the side of your face. So for those ones, you can use the brushes, the ones that bend. Let me see if I have another example of a contour brush that works perfectly. This one now is dense, just like the foundation brush, but it slants a bit. Can you see? This one slants a bit. This can fly for contouring the side of your cheek. So that's why I said those ones are technical brushes. Now, when you highlight and you want to put powder, what brushes do you think would work fine? When you see brushes like this that are very loose, you know, just like this brush kind of mimics the big powder brush. You can use it to apply powder to your under eye. That's why I call some of them technical brushes. You can see it's kind of loose but small. So you know it can't be a face powder brush. You can just use this for your under eye powder application to set. You see flat brushes like this, just know that they were made to conceal your brows. You know, the under brow, you know, concealing. This is what I mean. Let me use a mirror so I'm not doing nonsense with you. You know, concealing this way. Can you see? It will help. You see, it's shaped in such a way that it will just make it easy for you to clean up any mistake from your brow. Do you get? Some people do the top brows as well. There are different sizes and shapes of these ones too. We have the flat ones. Just know that when you see brushes like this one is kind of dome shaped. Or what will you call this shape now? We have the flat ones. Just know that brushes like this, they are better for contouring. For cleaning up your brows, concealing your brows, these sort of brushes. When you see them, know that, oh, these are brow brushes. They're usually flat. Some of them might be angled as well. We are going to lip brushes. I don't know if you remember this brush I showed you for eyeshadow application. It's a small brush, but do you know that this brush can double as a lip brush? Can you see how small it is? You can just conveniently use it on your lip and it makes sense. Another type of lip brush that we also have is this small one. Can you see there's a difference? This one is like smaller and longer, I think. And then just know that when you see small brushes like this, they probably intended this for your lips. Yeah. Now we have some other types of brushes too that have this, I don't know if to call it a sponge brush. Look at how pointed it looks. This kind of brushes here, they can fly for, but this is a beginner brush set. So I don't think these ones are really necessary for it. But just know that brushes are shaped like this most times. They use it for cut crease. This can cut your crease conveniently for cut crease kind of makeup. Just look at it well. So I think with all this, you should be able to identify brush sets